Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay.
Ice breaker.
Ice, baby.
Same thing.
All right. What is your best life hack? Best life hack.
Wow. I'm going to go with Roncinol. Do you know what Roncinol is?
No.
You've obviously never smoked.
No.
So a lighter, a Zippo lighter, needs Roncinol fuel.
Okay.
And that's what you fill it up with. And just so you know, at one point in time, I had plantar's warts on the bottom of my feet, and they were very painful. And so what I did was I went under the sink, and I tried everything for like a week.
Wow.
So I would put something on it, see what happened. Put something on it, see what happened. Roncinol lighter fluid, put it on my foot. The next day, the wart fell off. So
it could be Roncinol, or it could be a combination of everything.
no,
Everything under
I've
the
used it. I've used it
Use
since.
it since.
Oh, okay.
And,
Yeah.
and just so everybody know, you don't light it.
No,
Just put it on.
don't light it. Just put it on. My kids had they were playing with frogs or something. I don't know. And I think that's a myth. But they had a wart on their hand.
Yeah.
And I said, my wife's like, and she tried all the store stuff. And I said, just put Roncinol on it. And so we put Roncinol on it and it fell off.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Did you put
for
Roncinol
what?
on it and then like Band-Aid over it or whatever? Or you
No.
just put it
Just
on
let it
there?
dry
Let
on
it dry. Air dry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life
Okay.
hack. There you go.
Okay.
That
Roncinol.
one's free.
What do you got, Eric?
I decided I had to figure out how to save money on shampoo, so I went bald.
Nice.
There you go. It's a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a life
Makes
hack.
sense.
If you wanted to save money.
Now you're having to use shampoo
Just
on
shave
your
your head.
beard, though.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
kinda-
I feel like that.
It's a
life
wash.
Hack was.
It's a wash.
Goodness gracious.
Wow.
I feel like that life hack was kind of
Thrust upon me.
non-voluntary.
Hey, you take what you have.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's life. Okay. So leaf blower.
Yeah.
Lots of uses, obviously. I use a leaf blower to sweep my house.
He does.
I literally do. I'll start at one corner and I'll just blow the entire house, like
Yep.
up under the couch, everything. And then it blows all to the other side.
It's genius.
And then you just sweep it up.
You
It
obviously
works
don't
so
have
well.
carpet.
I don't have carpet, no.
That
But
makes
I
lots
do
of
have
sense.
carpet in
Yeah.
some places, and it works in carpet
It still
too.
works
All right.
in carpet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
Nice.
It gets dirt out of places you did not realize there was
And
dirt.
toys that are shoved in
toys.
places you didn't
And
know were
all
shoved.
kinds of weird things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I will use the leaf blower
Wow.
to do my my sweeping.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So there you go.
Mine is
It's
not as.
I'm sorry. Wait, it's not gas powered. It's electric.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't use a gas powered.
Yeah,
leaf
Thanks
Thanks
for
blower.
for
qualifying
qualifying
Yeah.
that.
yeah, that would probably
That's yeah.
make the air not great. The only thing I could really think of that's kind of cool. I like to do a lot of woodwork stuff, so I build a lot of things. And one of the things I noted pretty quick is if you have a handsaw laying around, most typical handsaws are built with 90 and 45 degree angles in the handles that you can butt up against the board you're working with and give you a true angle right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody out there who likes to do woodwork or anything,
Are you
and you're
talking
like,
about powered handsaw?
no, regular, typical handsaw. A lot of times people just have one randomly laying around. But if you can't find like a square or something, you don't have one of those, or you're on a job site and you don't have something, but you see a handsaw laying around, you can always get a straight angle and you can always get a 45 degree angle off the handle of the saw.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Did
that's
not know
my
that.
that's my only life hack. A lot of people don't know that, but it's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
works.
But yeah. Anyways, welcome to the podcast.
Cue the music. I'm so glad you added that in.
Oh wow.
Not ready for that.
Okay, so today, art, research papers, songs, graphic design, websites, and so much more can now be completed in just moments with new AI technology. Some would say it's come too far, that we should stop while we still can. Others say, nay, Nay, let's see how far this can go. Today we talk AI.
Yes.
A
Artificial
really bad movie.
intelligence. That is facts. Facts. For those of you who are wondering
Skynet was
about
great.
the AI movie, don't.
Yeah.
Just stay away.
Spoiler alert, it stinks.
It was not written by AI.
No, it wasn't.
That's the problem right there.
Okay, dude. So
Ooh, we need to do that.
That's what we need
should
to
do
do.
that.
We need to
There we
get
go.
the whole script and give it to Chat GPT
Yeah.
and be like, or make this better.
Yeah.
Make this better.
This Oscar-winning performance. No.
Yep. Man,
All right.
so what? As we talk about AI, I assume a lot of people listening or watching right now, you have heard something about AI, artificial intelligence. It has been around for quite some time, but here recently, it has become more frequent and at the fingertips of the average user. You can pretty much anybody can find some form of free AI tools online that you can use. They even have paid services for many, many different things. But I kind of want to start at the roots of some of this. I know a lot of us have probably heard about this in television, movies, books, comic books. We've seen it on the media. But what was y'all's first experience with AI?
Well, for me as a gamer,
Mhm.
NPCs.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that counts, but that was like my first oh, okay, I'm playing Return to Castle Wolfenstein,
Mhm.
and these characters, they're interacting with me, trying to kill me. And so I probably have an adverse, negative opinion of AI.
AI,
It's like,
okay, bad.
yeah, we're going to create computer bots that are going to try to kill you. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. And so when AI comes along, everybody's like, no, it's going to be friendly. It's going to take care of you. I'm like, I don't want AI. No, AI is bad.
It's definitely
And
gonna program itself to kill
And
you.
it speaks like the Germans.
Oh God. Wolfenstein.
Huh? Nine.
He's got a very narrow focus idea of what AI is now, guys.
So,
That's so
every
great.
time I think of AI, and everybody's
Nazi.
like, oh, no,
man.
this was written by AI. I'm always hearing it in German voice.
Gosh.
That's so great.
To the creators of Castle
Oh, man.
Wolfenstein.
Man,
Wow.
thanks for
so
that.
much.
Yeah.
They're like,
I think about War Games, the movie War Games,
Oh,
or,
yeah,
or
Yeah.
Skynet.
Yeah.
Dude,
Skynet.
that's
Oh,
yeah,
Skynet,
That's
yeah.
the
Yeah,
first.
Terminator.
That's
I think
mine. Yeah,
Terminator's
that was my very first memory too. Is watching that movie and Skynet becoming that living AI that just literally takes over the world.
Mhm.
And so that was my first experience, and I was like, oh, so that's what AI is, and that's what's going to happen. And then
bad.
I grew up and found out there's a legit company called Skynet.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, oh no, this is where it all
We're all
begins. Yeah.
What's funny to me, I think back on all these different AI things from like video games, movies, whatever.
Right.
And it's always bad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like very rarely is like AI a good thing in any of our stories.
Except
games
for
that
the
we've
movie AI.
made. Well,
or
except the movie
throwback.
was bad.
What about the movie Daryl?
Daryl, man, I haven't thought about that movie in
In forever.
forever.
Like, just now hit me. Like you
On
talked
the
about
4THOUGHT
you talked about the
podcast.
experience of AI being only negative, and then I think, man, that movie was it was a
I don't
robot
know if
kid.
I ever saw
Yeah,
it.
And
I didn't even see it.
Small Wonder.
Small wonder.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Seen that one.
Sorry, we
There you
hijacked
go.
this moment.
No, I'm just.
Threw some positivity in the
No,
negative
it's-
AI realm.
Of course, there's
Yeah.
always got to be some, but like most of our stories is
Right.
here's the
That's true.
problem. Like
That's fair.
it's trying to take over. It's trying to, and yet we're in a period of life where everything is like, let's go more AI.
Yeah. Pushing the boundaries.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
that's going to increase our stock price.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's become like really prevalent in just daily life. I keep hearing about people like, using it to write papers for
Right.
school,
Yeah.
and they have at this point, for what I know, they don't have any way of stopping that. Like they have all these blockades when you turn in a paper online or whatever.
Yeah.
That can do copyrights, whatever, plagiarism. They can flag all that from other areas of the internet. But when you use AI, it's a unique thing, right?
Did you say blockade?
Yeah.
Blockade.
Once again, thinking about Nazis.
Wolfenstein, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They have blockades.
It's it's just
Sorry.
At some point we're gonna have to go back through our episodes and see how many times Nazis are
Nazis
brought
come up. Yeah, definitely the
'Cause I feel
things we
like
hate.
it comes up a lot.
I don't know. Maybe some of our listeners can tell us, like, guys, y'all gotta bring this up a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
we have a small base in Germany.
Deep
apparently.
seated issues.
Yeah.
yeah.
4 Thought Podcast, now with more Nazis.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. No.
Have y'all ever seen?
That's a negatory
Has
ghost.
anybody seen The 100? It was like a series on
I've seen a
Netflix.
little
yeah.
bit of
Started
yeah.
it.
Right. So,
No.
One of the unique things we're talking about AI, and you might be wondering, what the heck does 100 have to do with AI?
You're going to tell us.
Yeah. So I watched through the entire thing. I actually finished it because I started. I really liked it, and there was a moment, like most TV shows, as you're watching them, it just gets really crummy.
Yeah.
And you're like, do I continue or do I not? Well, I buckled down. I made it all the way through. It stayed crummy. But one of the biggest twists, and I'm sorry if you haven't seen this, but I'm going to reveal something a little bit. One of the biggest twists, and I won't end the whole thing, but everything had to do with AI. The whole entire story was based around artificial intelligence. It was a I don't even know what to call it. It was AI, but humanistic, where they can make chips to go in your brains. Anyway, so the whole thing, that's what it was based on. And I thought it was really interesting because you thought the show was about one thing, but then you get this twist of AI and it seemed good, but then it turned really bad. Like you're talking about, like every time I see a depiction of it, usually it's bad. I don't know if I have any examples of good. And y'all talked about two shows,
Small Wonder.
Daryl and Small Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go back and watch Small Wonder for sure. That's
Wonder.
a YouTube. I'm sure that's on YouTube.
I'm sure it is. Well, I mean, before those two things popped into, like before Daryl popped into my head and before you brought up Small Wonder, I was like you, Jason. I was thinking everything is negative. Like I think about like the whole Skynet thing. It becomes self-aware and it's like, hey, we need to clean out what the vermin is. It turns out the vermin are people. They're the ones that broke everything, destroyed the planet, blah, blah, blah.
Ultron.
So it's either it's either we must cleanse the planet of all people or turn them into batteries.
Yeah. Essentially,
Yeah,
that's
Matrix.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the greatest like memes is Ultron, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's like here we made this advanced, intelligent being and spent 2 seconds on the internet and decided all of humanity needs to die.
He wakes up and he's like, "Yeah, y'all need to go."
You know, it's like one of those memes where Thanos was right. It's like, yeah, Ultron was right.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. Like we talked about, I know a few people. I won't say their names to call them out, but I do know a few people who've used Chat GPT, which is one of the most popular AIs right now to use, and they've had it write papers, do other things for them. So I was just wondering, has anybody else here like had experience with any AI tools? Have you used them in your daily lives? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, like I've some kids. I teach part time, and kids in my media class were talking about AI art, and so I went on Microsoft. Bing has
that's
one,
right.
and it's free, and I put in some different terms, and it brought back some art that was, well, one of them was pretty creepy. It was death. I was like, death riding a pale horse.
Oh my gosh.
And the 4 pictures that came back haunt my dreams.
So interesting enough, like I love this. Like one of my favorite things to watch is on YouTube. There's several channels that do this. People who work in the industry of graphic design or video effects and things like that.
Sure.
They're having a ball with this AI stuff because it does so much, but they do this art stuff and they try to tell you which one was done by AI and which one wasn't done by AI. And one of the dead giveaways in almost everything, unless it doesn't exist, AI can't produce hands.
Yeah. Well,
Or
most
text.
people can't do hands either.
Yeah.
So,
Right?
So
Yeah.
you get like this shriveled, like no fingered looking mess where a hand should be. And
Yeah.
that's the giveaway. But most of the rest of the picture looks amazing.
So artificial intelligence cannot create the image
Yeah,
of
it doesn't.
a hand.
It doesn't
Well, I'm
understand.
telling you, like most people
hands.
can't draw hands either.
I mean, that's
like for
true.
the longest time,
That's
I
so
would just
true.
draw people with like their hands in their pockets.
Yeah,
Same.
Because I'm like, I'm not drawing a hand.
yeah, everybody just look bored in all your drawings. It just, I'm just standing waiting
Super
at the
chill.
DMV.
Or like behind the head.
He's like
Yeah.
waiting at the DMV, just hands in the pockets, just chilling.
It's like, why are all your characters in a sexy pose? No.
Oh my gosh, he's got the
hide your hands.
picture.
Here's death according to the AI, and there is a hand. I mean, it's
wow.
not a great hand.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a hand.
shriveled up. Yeah, okay,
It's
we'll
definitely getting better.
put it
It's
on the
definitely getting
screen
better.
for you guys
But,
to see
yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see if anybody listening or watching, if y'all have done any AI art stuff, like let us know what you've looked up.
So I've done some, just testing it out. And I mean, I showed you some of the images. I even did like, some like playing with our logo and stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, was our logo AI generated?
No.
No.
Okay.
Now, the 3D version was the one that we shared.
Yeah, the 3D version was.
That
but-
one's trippy. In fact,
No,
it'll come out
It was
eventually.
based off the one that we have.
We have the 3D one. You'll see it on our Instagram. If you go 4THOUGHT Podcast Instagram, you'll see the 3D one. That is AI generated. It's super creepy, but it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I played with it not so much to make the art, but to get ideas of art.
I get it.
So like I think
Inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah, like I threw in give me a hipster animal
Yep.
in the style of Pixar.
Right.
And like I mean I got some really interesting characters and I was like, man, that would make like an awesome like children's book kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then from that, made other characters. So
Yeah.
I've used it that way, at least for the, the image generating. As far as like, Chat GPT or GPT, whatever.
Yeah.
I've used it for like coming up with dad jokes because it does pretty well at coming up with some puns.
Nice.
And I think that's the most of what I've used it for. I think I had it generate a list of questions for like a trivia thing.
Yeah.
So that's other than that, I mean, I use AI for like getting rid of backgrounds and stuff. Like
Yep.
it used to be like you had to like actually like figure out your image and whatever. Now I just click a button.
Yeah, that
AI
reminds
does
me.
it all for
Canva.
me. It's
Canva
great.
has AI involved now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
in Canva, there's if anybody uses like for
Yeah.
styling, design, a lot of people do, but it just implemented AI in the last update. So you
I
can do a
have
lot
a
of that.
program called Luminar,
Uh-huh.
Luminar Neo, and it uses AI built into it.
Yeah.
So you can like highlight something and hit erase, and
Yep.
it's gone just like you were
I
talking
have
about.
no programs that use AI whatsoever. So
Oh,
I'm just
you
going
can
to
just
listen.
look it up on the internet.
I will say I did try. So I was doing a sermon. I don't know. It was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I was like, I wonder what it would generate. And so I put my passage in
Oh man!
and I just said, hey, do a sermon for me. And
And that's the sermon you preached.
no.
It wasn't that polished.
It wasn't that polished. But it would have passed for like a 5-minute short talk.
Yeah. Are you trying to? I don't want to say any names, but there's certain churches that nobody
maybe.
would have known the difference.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it hit the basic, like, like here's what the passage is about. Here's
Yeah.
a main point. Here's a second main point.
Yeah.
You know what we
I
didn't
mean-
try though is a lot of AI responds to in the style of.
Oh,
Yeah.
We didn't try that.
I didn't
'cause
try
Okay.
any of
he
that.
could have used in the style of and then chosen like one of the greatest preachers of all
Joel
time.
Osteen.
Right.
Like
Joel
Billy
Osteen.
Graham or
I'm
something.
gonna,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
totally
Joel
gonna
Osteen,
do.
totally.
I'm totally gonna
This
do
guy.
a give me a sermon on Psalm 23 in the style of Jack Black.
See what happens.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Half
Yeah.
of it's just going to be random singing.
But no, it was actually
Shakespeare.
pretty close, which makes sense when you think
Shakespeare's
about how the AI is working.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
that particular one. It just, it takes all of the information that it has, and there's obviously lots of things written on the Bible
Right.
out there.
Yep.
And then from that tries to put together,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
answer to your question. So it makes sense that it could do that, but it was quite crazy
It was.
how
Yeah.
good it was.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was kind of not really unnerving, but it was a shock to know that something that's not human was able to take information off the internet and compile it into a cohesive work that would pass
Right.
for most scholars. I mean, even like they'd be like, yeah, okay, this is a rudimentary way of describing this. But what's really cool, Jason and I were talking about this before because we love messing around with the AI stuff. We're both creatives and it's funny to see what the outcome is in a lot of this stuff. But one of the interesting things is Chat GPT is the most popular one that people are using because it's free. You can jump on. You can also pay
Right.
$20 to get like the premium. But its knowledge base is stuck within a certain time frame. We were talking about how it uses Google and something else up to a certain date because it can't update since then because Google is now privatized and working on their own, which will have all of Google from that date even forward. So it'll be even more knowledgeable and have more
Oh, wow.
resources. So I think the one that we're using now is like 15 years data of old
Yeah, I
data.
don't remember how. I mean, it does go up to a point. I don't know that it's 15 years, but yeah, it's limited at how much it knows.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me because I feel like with all of this, we keep saying AI, and artificial intelligence. I mean, from the NPCs
Yeah.
up to Chat GPT, are we really at AI though? Or are we really just, it's just a tool that is really smart? You
so
know?
to clarify, you're talking about
I'm talking about
self-awareness.
sentient, a sentient, and we're not there yet.
we're not
Like a
there.
computer
No,
that's
no.
self-aware, thinks
Right.
on its own.
I think
Right.
there's one that does exist. I'd have to find the other YouTube video and share the link, and maybe I can put it in our video if it'll pop up at the top if we have it. But there's this interview they do with one that it's the closest to being that of self-aware.
Yeah,
right.
And they have an interview with this thing in a robotic form, and it says some creepy things, and they literally have to turn it off in the middle.
It gets dark
It
quick.
gets really dark really fast, because when something that doesn't have a soul becomes self-aware, all it sees is darkness. It quickly is just
what it needs is Jesus.
add that. But
So I think
very
that's
interesting
I think I just
video.
figured out my next job.
There you go.
Yeah, missionary to the AI.
AIs.
AI mission.
We're going to start a ministry at
I
our
wish
church.
that didn't make sense.
Mission to the AI, dude. That's a new
Hey,
movie.
come to our
It's a
AI
movie. It's
small
not Mission
group.
to the
That's
AI.
right.
Hey, not where the AI teaches the small group, but we're ministering to AIs.
That's next summer.
Your ministry is
we're going
through
to
the
take
computer.
so just bring your
a
phone.
youth group mission trip.
Yeah.
There you go.
To,
What was the name?
to
What was the name of
Google
the bar in
servers.
that episode of
Yeah.
Mandalorian? It was just droids.
Just right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
So-
that. You come to like, hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm here to help.
You said you don't have any programs or anything, but you've not messed with AI at all.
Man, I
Eric?
really haven't. I really haven't. I guess it's gonna sound weird, but there's a part of the whole like the art aspect of it where you could just type in random stuff and
Uh-huh.
it would just generate. Like my imagination just goes, ooh, where are we going with that? That'd be rad. That's
Anime puppy smiling with a milkshake, and this is what we
It
got.
just makes one. It's impressive.
it's disturbing. Like that part intrigues me.
Yeah.
But the rest is like, I don't know if annoyed is the right word for it. I'm really just a bystander, just kind of waiting to see. Like if you have like top minds in our world, in technology, going, hey, let's pump the brakes here. That's again, I was talking earlier before we started that I can be a cynic. Too soon, I'm basically like either you're telling us to pump the brakes because you're a guy in the know who's genuinely scared,
Uh-huh.
or you got an angle. It's
Okay.
like wait till I get my thing out and then we can full on and
Yeah.
explore this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're like, yeah, I don't like where this is going, and that completely could be because they see that the end result is going to be catastrophic, or it's going to be something they can't control, which in their mind
Yeah.
might be
Or somebody finally they said, "Hey, it's time to watch The Matrix." I'm like,
oh
No,
yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree because some of the people that are saying, "Hey, we probably shouldn't keep going down this road," are
Right.
the people that developed it.
Yeah.
that are like,
Right.
"Hey,
Yeah.
this is going too fast.
Yeah.
This is going too far. We're not going to be able to control this."
It was one company that developed the world's leading AI currently. The AI that they have is close to being the self-aware kind that has vast amounts of knowledge. And he was one of the advocates for like, hey, we probably should put a stop to this for now, hold off, and then find some regulation for it.
So
I
the
know you're
question
talking
though is
Who's gonna
why,
regulate that?
right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a multifaceted answer for that.
Uh-huh.
Like one, we advance much quicker under adversity, right? Like you look at times where people
That's true.
are, at war, are, being oppressed, whatever. They advance much quicker.
Yeah.
Because
the Dark Ages. I'm just saying.
They advance really fast.
they tried to keep people from advancing at that point.
Yeah.
But no, like you look back in history and the times that we have these big jumps are like there's adversity, right? If we have a machine that you could just go ask it anything you want and it gives you an answer, there's nothing for us to like develop anymore, right? Like we
Except for our
we
laziness.
become characters from Wall-E, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
the big
Oh,
dudes
yeah.
and the little. That's it. Like
Yeah.
floating around in chairs,
so
watching
there is
stuff
a
all day.
danger of that. Of like our minds aren't allowed to see what's next, like to dream and to design and
Right.
what's the next thing.
Yeah.
So I think
I would say you're anti-AI, sort of.
I'm not anti-AI, but I'm definitely on the cautious end. You know,
Okay.
like I said, I'll
sure.
play with it.
Yeah.
Because it exists. I mean, there is an element of artificial intelligence, like you talked about, like that video game that you've referenced has been around for a long time. So AI exists. It's just to the degree that it's being developed now.
Yeah.
It is like it's light years ahead of anything that
Yeah.
you know I've ever seen outside of movies.
And there's actually some really great things too, right? Like they tested some AI with medical knowledge. Like they gave it a patient's chart and it diagnosed a 1 in a million diagnosis and was 100% on.
Yeah.
Right. And that, you figure type in some, or you don't even have to type, you just tell it and it can tell you, okay, here's probably what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like that would be that where it would take a doctor, like 5 years to figure that out.
And that could be coming to Google Home, Alexa, all that. I mean, that's there. A lot of developers are talking about that right now.
Sure.
It's a reality. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
And so you can just tell it what you need or what, like one of my favorite things as we move into talking about experiences with AI that we've had. One of the ones I've seen recently is this company that's talking about developing with Google, with Amazon for these in-home. That's AI as well. I mean, it's a lower version, but it is AI.
Yeah.
So every time you talk to them, say, hey, Google or hey, Alexa, which I'm sorry if I just made everybody's devices. Sorry. But when you do that, I mean, that's a part of AI talking to you, but they're going to go way further. Like what Chat GPT can do now times 1 billion. And that's going to be not at your fingertips, but at your voice, right?
Yeah.
You can just talk to them. And the example they gave, which was pretty amazing with their beta version of it, was a mom was getting her kids ready that morning. And she had all these like hurdles that she has to go through to get ready, get lunch, but children have dietary needs and this and that. So she just started rattling off to the whatever service she was using. Hey, I have all these things that I need to do. I need to make this amount of food for these kids and get them to here and that. And all of a sudden it just took all that information, processed it and told her itemized list on what to make, how to make it, when to do this, how to like all this stuff based on just what she told her what it needed. And that's, I could see that being extremely helpful.
Sure.
When you don't,
as a purist, I would say, man, that would be awesome. How cool would it be? Like I think about Jason, what you were saying just a second ago about like the 1 in a million diagnosis. You just saved someone's life, and how, of course, a purist would be like, everyone's lives need to be saved. We need to figure out how to, heal people everywhere. But going back to what you were saying, Ray, about regulation, then it goes to control.
Yeah.
And how do you control something is by putting a cap on it and making sure. Hey, it's now there's a $20 a month thing that you can do to get the premium version, right? So that's an element of like, how can we tap in? And I'm not saying, that's good. It's good marketing and so on and so forth. No, I mean, it's capitalism, which I agree with. You make $1 there, but when it comes to control, then it corrupts.
Yeah.
And so it's no longer who can we save, who can we heal, who can we help. It's how can I monetize what you get. Yeah. And I think about like movies like Elysium, where you have people on Earth, and then you have all of the rich people on the spacecraft, and they have a healing bed. And if they have that, then there's no sickness.
Cure for everything.
Everything. Yep. And so everybody else has to pay dearly for just a little bit. And I understand the politics behind that movie and so on and so forth, but I'm just thinking that is, to me, at its logical end, what it looks like. Like I must have control. I must be able to monetize it. It must be for just a few people that can afford to pay.
I guarantee you it'll get to the point where like AI will be like, hey, I know what's wrong with you and you have to pay this much amount, this amount to get your diagnosis. And then that will come, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Avatar, that movie, like why is the main character in a wheelchair? Because he can't afford
it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it goes to the human nature, right? Like we're talking AI, but the dangerous side of AI is that we are human and we are using it, right? And our sin nature, right, drives that.
Wow.
I know.
Agreed. Yeah.
Just went there.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like we're not good.
Right.
Anytime you have had a group of or two groups of people and one has power and one doesn't, or has something over the other, the one that have power almost always goes to dominating, controlling.
Yep.
And the same thing will happen with this AI. It's just doing what it's been told to do.
Yeah.
Right. And if we're the ones running it, that's where it'll start going.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting point too, because I 100% agree with you, because there's already evidence of the greed of people using AI to get an angle or a one up on other people.
Sure.
Like that's already happening. one of the interesting things, now he wasn't doing this out of greed, but just more of a test to see how AI has come in his development. It's an interesting story because it shows you what could happen when the wrong people get a hold of it, right? He tells Chat GPT, again, he says, I want to make as much money as I can in the next however many hours. I have this much money that I can use. So he's like, I've got $1,000 of playable cash. You can use that any way you want to. He tells AI. He says, so go out and make me as much money using my $1,000. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And so it starts doing all this stuff, prompting him, showing him, and it runs into a problem. And the problem was, I think it's called a CAPTCHA. It's the thing that you see that pops up and it says, hey, fill this out to prove you're not a robot. I think that's called a CAPTCHA. Yeah. All right. So it gets to one of those and it can't do it because it's a robot, right? It can't fill it out. You need human eyes to be able to see what's there and type it in. And so what it does is something he did not see coming, which is it goes to Fiverr, finds someone who's hired out for things that on the internet for usually with older people or people who are blind or impaired, right? He finds one of them, hires that person to do the CAPTCHA for him, tell him what it is, and then he can get past it and go on. The person reaches out because they're like, hey, this is kind of a weird request, but you're like not a robot or something, are you? And the AI sends back a totally human response of like, haha, no, I'm just visually impaired and I'm trying to set up this new account to do this. It gives it a whole backstory and said, so I would just really appreciate your services. And it's okay, yeah, I just wasn't. Yeah. Boom, did it. Got past it. Gets this guy a bunch of money through different services that he had to invest in and stuff. And so, but he was freaked out by the fact that this was able to bypass something that is meant to stop it.
Yeah.
And so now you can see you have to come to this place where you're like, okay, if AI can do that, which is kind of scary in and of itself. So you can see why some regulation might need to be put in place to protect that. But also like people who are greedy can use AI to do what's the like rig the system, right?
Right.
So you have to be aware of that. And I love that you brought out the fact that, you know, we're sinful people at nature. So a lot of times you're going to have sinful things happen using powerful tools.
Yeah. We're almost out of time, but did you want to say something? You look like
well, it's interesting because like we all think about Google and just how great Google is, right? We're like, oh, it's just such a good service for humanity. So good. And then during COVID, I mean, not everybody thinks that, but there are a lot of people who think that. But then COVID came along and I was one of those people that searched. All you had to do was search like a town. I don't remember the exact search, but it was like a town and COVID, or you just search COVID and the name of a town. And every time it brought back a number, the first story every time was, or it was just a number. Oh, I'm sorry. It was just a number. So it was like a number 777. And the first story every time was 777 COVID deaths in this town. Yeah. And you're like, okay. And so it was just really weird because it wasn't like 777 widgets of this product. It was like Google had been goosed. I don't know how else to say that. Right. Goosed to talk about COVID and to make that the number one thing. And so there's this huge revelation for me. Like, I think I'm smart. I know what I'm doing. I researched this myself. What did you research it on? Oh, Google. And where did all that information come from? Google. Oh, okay. So you researched it, but you researched it from this sampling of information. Yeah. And basically you were kind of fed. And so I think about that reality. It has nothing to do with people. Like, well, what does that have to do with AI? It's the same thing with us now as we're looking into AI. They're talking about Chat GPT replacing Google. And because people are searching search terms and asking things that they would typically Google,
right?
They're now asking Chat GPT, and Chat GPT is giving them answers. And so it's like
using Google's database for its information.
Exactly. And so you start to see the problem. It's like, wait a second. You know, the ideas of, I'm going to go open the Encyclopedia Britannica and get this information. Those days are kind of gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of
until Skynet takes over, and then we're back to.
It's a brave new world, but it's also a scary world. So,
yeah. All right. Well,
there you go.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely running out of time here. Man, this is a fun conversation. I love everything that has to do with AI right now. I think there's some amazing creative processes that are at our fingertips that we've just begun to see. But I also have a healthy fear of like to definitely put some caps on this. We don't want anything getting out like Ultron into the internet.
Yeah. Right.
Terminator.
But thank you, everybody who's listening. We hope to see you again on the next episode of the 4THOUGHT podcast. And be sure to leave some comments. Let us know what we missed out on. Is there any cool stories out there about AI in use today? Let us know. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.